Welcome to the Chatting Average, another episode within the final 6 weeks of the soft season. I'm going to restart.
The soft season?
Let's go. No, don't restart. We got to keep moving.
No, I got this. Let me go again. I hope you leave both of these in. Welcome to the Chatting Average, another episode here of the final 6 weeks of the off season, which means we're in our divisional previews. This season will be fun, but this episode is going to be fun. We're going to talk about John's favorite division, the NL East. John's very excited. Okay.
John, is your favorite team in the NL
Adam
East?
Busak is here as well.
Hello, I am here.
Is my team in the NL East? I don't know. I'm wearing an Atlanta Braves hat. You can see it right here, which means
I think that's an NL East choppa.
Yeah, which means I like the NL East, and I think this is honestly one of the most interesting, most interesting divisions in the league right now.
I actually completely agree. There's a lot of intriguing pieces to this division this year.
So
I agree. Do we just want to jump right into it?
Let's just go.
Let's just jump right into it.
Let's just do it.
All right.
Let's just jump right into it.
Do it.
So for those of you who missed,
there you go.
Yes, for those of you who missed last week's episode, the way that we here on the Chatting Average structure our divisional previews is we will give you an overview of each of the 5 teams in each division in order of how they finished last year, worst to first, going over players that they lost in the offseason, players they gained in the offseason, where they're going to be better, where they're going to be worse. And then after we've given an overview for each team, we're going to go through and give our respective rankings for how each division is going to shake out. So, going worst to first in the the National League East last year was the Miami Marlins. Spoiler alert. I think they're probably going to be last again this year. John, what has changed with the Miami Marlins since the last time that we talked?
Sure. The Miami Marlins have lost in the offseason Tim Anderson, Jake Berger, Jesus Luzardo, and Vidal Brujan. They've acquired Eric Wagaman and Cal Quantrill.
The Cal Quantrill signing coming literally earlier this week. So it wasn't their first major league signing, but it was the first impact major league signing, I think, of the whole offseason. If you take a team that's really bad and you sell pieces off and you don't really do anything to replace that, can we say that they're going to be any better than they were last year?
No, you really can't. This is a team that is in, I want to say, stasis. They're just kind of stuck. And, it's a failed rebuild. They didn't really get what they wanted out of their pieces. Brian De La Cruz was one of the future pieces of that outfield, and he had like one good half season and hasn't cashed in since. Jesus Sanchez is a kind of a disappointing corner outfielder right now. You sold off the lefty, what's his name? Trevor Rogers,
yes.
Trevor Rogers, right. I was
not trying to be confused with Taylor or Tyler.
That's what I was stuck on, is I didn't want to say Taylor or Tyler. I was like, what's the other T Rogers?
Taylor or Tyler are twin brothers, and Trevor is unrelated.
And, shout out Adam's dog. This team doesn't have that dog in them. They don't have one clear player I love that isn't Sandy Alcantara, and even then, he's just kind of on the out. Yes, John.
Hey, Adam's dog, send Adam your favorite meme.
Oh, she will. I got her an iPhone for her birthday.
Yay!
My thing about the Marlins, I completely agree. Like, how are they going to be better? They won't be. But I do think a player that is like exciting and like maybe I might, it's the only game on and I'll actually watch a Marlins game for some reason. I'm kind of excited to see what Connor Norby does in a full season where he's not the 15th guy on the roster.
This infield is really interesting.
Interesting is a good way to
Yeah,
put it.
so
And I think that
they're
Connor Norby is a very good piece for them. I think he's going to be an impact player when he gets the opportunity to actually kind of be the cornerstone of the infield for this team.
mhm.
Um, Obviously, Sandy Alcantara is a very interesting piece out of that starting rotation. They have a couple players who are currently injured that I think could be interesting pieces if they get them back this season in Braxton Garrett and Yuri Perez. Right, there's the potential for this rotation to be fine. I think Max Myers is fine. Ryan Weathers is okay, former top prospect for the Padres. Cal Quantrill, as we talked about before, he had a 4 ERA in Coors Field last year. That's pretty good. Like, this rotation is fine, but I don't think there's anything special there.
No, I'm kind of the same mind. I'm excited to see the double play tandem of Otto Lopez and Xavier Edwards this year. I think that shortstop spot wasn't really Xavier Edwards at the start of the year, but he really did kind of take it over at the end of the year and had some pretty good success with it. For a Marlins shortstop. Um, Tim Anderson is gone, and maybe he'll do well in Anaheim. We'll talk about him later for like 2 seconds. Um, I think this is a team. Every team in MLB can be interesting, even the bad teams, which includes the Marlins this year.
I would agree.
For sure.
Final thoughts on this one, or shall we move forward?
They're not going to be good.
I think we move.
We move forward. Finishing in second to last in the National League East last year was the Washington Nationals.
John Langibra.
Correct. And their major offseason losses include Patrick Corbin, Matt and Jacob Farm, Joey Gallo, Tanner Rainey, Kyle Finnegan, and Ildemargo Vargas. Thank you. They sign in the offseason, or they acquire Michael Soroka, Nathaniel Lowe, Josh Bell, Ahmad Rosario, Jorge Lopez, Shinosuke Ogasawara, and Paul DeYoung.
I honestly, for where the Nationals were last year, for where they are as an organization right now, kind of tailing upwards in their rebuild, I really like this offseason for what the Nationals have. Michael Soroka, right now, it seems like they're going to stretch him out. I would have preferred to see him in the bullpen, where he was actually surprisingly effective for his underlying statistics last year for the White Sox as a multi-inning reliever. Nathaniel Lowe, that's your first baseman. You've been struggling to try to find a first baseman. I feel like he gives you a little more than Joey Gallo did. I think I think just baseline, that's an upgrade. Josh Bell comes back. That's a nice little heartwarming story. He'll probably occupy DH for most of the time. Ahmed Rosario, Jorge Lopez, Paul DeYoung, kind of depth guys. Maybe Paul DeYoung gets some more time as kind of that utility guy. Shinosuke Ogasawara, we talked about him a bit when he first signed. Probably a back end rotation guy. He might end up swinging between bullpen and rotation. Depends on where they put Soroka, really. And really everything they lost, they addressed, which I think is really, really important for a team that's on the rebuild. And I don't want to steal all the talking points here, but like, they're a team that has some really intriguing breakout candidates.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is kind of the second year in a row that we've said this for this Nationals team, but as a team that's kind of nearing the end of the runway for their rebuild and starting to get up into the air into a team that could compete, the team will go as far as the young players will take them. And those young players are guys like Dylan Cruz. They're guys like CJ Abrams, now in his second year in the league, guys like James Wood, who came up towards the end of last year. None of them were particularly phenomenal last year. I think CJ Abrams had a good year, not a great year. If he could stay out of the casino and on the baseball field, I think this Nationals team is intriguing. Now, are they going to push for the division this year? No. Are they going to push for the division next year? Also, probably not. But they're getting to a point where they're not too far away from playing intriguing baseball, and I think that's important.
Yeah, I think I think one of my worries about this team is the starting rotation. I agree. It's like whatever the young guys do is where this team goes this year. I like Fangraphs projects their starting lineup to be C.J. Abrams, Dylan Cruz, James Wood, Nathaniel Lowe. Oh, cool! I love watching 3 sub 25-year-olds lead off in a lineup, who are each one of them is exciting to watch at the plate. I know Josiah Gray's on the
Nathaniel
IL.
Lau is 29.
That's why I said 3 sub 25-year-olds. He's fourth in the order.
Hey, you included him. You included him.
I did because he's fun to watch. But my thing is like Josiah Gray is on the IL after Tommy John surgery midway through last year. So he should be back, right, at some point?
You would expect him back probably in June or July, I would imagine. But
Right.
yes, by
About
the end of the year, he'll be around.
a year removed. I don't know. Mackenzie Gore, Jake Irvin, Mitchell Parker, Trevor Williams, and Mike Soroka. Ugh. That's my issue. Is like in a division like the NL East, and we're going to get to these next 3 teams that are like kind of world beaters. If you look at it, if you want to look at it that way, and it's like that back end of that rotation is a little ugly.
And it's not like they really have any pitching prospects that are waiting in the wings, right? Like you go and
yeah, I'm trying to get down to that, but it's not loading.
yeah, you look at Fangraphs and you have a handful of guys that are in AAA, and Cade Cavalli, I think, is one that could potentially make the jump this year, your number 3 prospect in the organization. But outside of that, like just looking at starting pitchers in the organization, you're looking at your number 20, 27, and 28 guys. Like that's not a particularly good return on investment as far as the pitching staff goes. On a pitching staff that's already bad, you don't have a lot of pitching prospects ready to come up. That's going to be an issue for them to address in the next couple off seasons, I think, once they're ready to actually compete.
Yeah. Why haven't they called up DJ Hers?
They have.
They have, but he's going to start the year in AAA again. As of like right now, he's sitting in AAA.
I think what they might, and I think this was something that that I noticed last year with DJ Hers. He has high strikeouts per 9. The issue is he's taking a while to get there. He runs the count up a lot, and he's a big 5 and dive guy, and that's kind of been his Achilles heel. I'm thinking they're probably want him to start in Rochester, a little bit of a lower leverage start, and just start working on closing the innings quicker, because if he's going to start being that like 1-2 behind like Mackenzie Gore, likely, if Mackenzie Gore comes back into form, they're really going to need him to start working with more length.
Yeah. And I know we're talking like this year, but like looking into them, like they're starting pitchers that are going to be up in the league in the next 2-3 years is like everybody but DJ Hers is homegrown. And you know, when you get that much time with guys, like I know you're saying like they're the org's 20th and 28th with Jackson Rutledge and Andrew Lara, but like who knows? You never know what those guys come into when they get into the league. You know, what was Ronel Blanco prior to this season for the Astros before he came out and threw a no-hitter in his first game? You know what I mean? And was solid all year for them. So like I know we're talking about this year, and we know that they're probably going to end up finishing 4th, but like I'm still high on what this Nationals team has as they continue. Also, like they've got trade pieces all over this board. Like the second the deadline comes around, you think Josh Bell is going to be a National if he's having a good year? You think?
I think there's a universe where Nathaniel Lau gets traded as well, even after acquiring him in the offseason.
Paul DeYoung, Ahmed Rosario, if they're playing okay, they're going to be gone, and you're just going to pick up more prospects.
Definitely. Any final thoughts on the Nationals, or should we move into the contender category?
We moved.
We
move forward to the team that finished 3rd place last year, but is arguably the most intriguing team in the NL East this year, the New York Metropolitans.
Correct. The Mets' major offseason losses, and there's a lot of them. Jose Iglesias, Luis Severino, Harrison Bader, Jose Quintana, JD Martinez, Adam Ottavino, Brooks Raley, Phil Maton, Joey Lucchesi, Adrian Hauser, DJ Stewart, Jake Diekman, Omar Narvaez. Their acquisitions, though, John Soto or Juan Soto, Jose Siri, Clay Holmes, Jared Young, Griffin Canning, AJ Minter, and everybody's favorite 5'4" man in the MLB, Nick Madrigal.
This is a
Hey, Joe.
really yeah. Joe is 5'4". Joe, send out him your favorite meme.
Please.
This is something that is really really intriguing to me because they lost a lot of that core of their the OMG Mets last year. Jose Iglesias at the forefront. I remember reading an interview he did where he was talking about how he wanted to be back with the Mets, and the author noted that he kept saying "we" and then correcting himself to the Mets. So like someone who's very clearly still wanting to be back in that clubhouse, and I don't see why you wouldn't. Honestly, I don't see
And
why
he's
you wouldn't.
he's not signed yet. They could bring him back, and I think they probably will at some point, right? Like
Yeah,
he's probably just
it,
waiting for the phone to ring.
they probably will. And like you look at the rest of this, you kind of atrophy a lot in the bullpen, and what you come back with, AJ Minter is when healthy, he's a really really strong back end piece. He was on and off a closer or setup man when he was in Atlanta. Um, Jose Siri is a plus plus defensive center fielder. He kind of replaces Harrison Bader in that role. He has got great power but poor contact. Clay Holmes, they're stretching him out to a starter. How does his movement play? He's one of those OG sinker slider closers when he came up big. Now he's going to the starting rotation. How does that work? Griffin Canning, Gold Glover. Nick Madrigal, Iowa Cubs legend, and then Juan Soto's Juan Soto. He's a known factor. You'd say he's the X factor, but you know what you're getting with Juan Soto.
Yeah.
The problem for me with this team is their depth. Like you look at their 4, 5, and 6 outfielders, and one of them's going to have to DH. Your 4, 5, 6 outfielders are Jesse Winker, Starling Marte, and Tyrone Taylor. That's gross. That's really bad. And I think maybe the biggest move of this offseason for the Mets, obviously Juan Soto is a big deal. Bringing Juan Soto in is a big deal. But outside of that, the biggest deal this offseason for the Mets was bringing back Pete Alonso. You just don't lose him. That's all you do. And I don't really see Pete Alonso as somebody that can push this team over the top, only because he's been there for as long as he's been there and he's never pushed him over the top before. I think that this team lacks, it's got a very intriguing top 3 in the lineup, to be sure. Their top 3 in the lineup is probably, comparable with anybody in the league as far as Francisco Lindor, as far as Juan Soto, as far as Pete Alonso goes. But once you get past that, it kind of drops off of a cliff. And the back half of the rotation is not great. I'm sorry to say. I don't think the Clay Holmes experiment's going to work. I'll be on the record as saying that. I don't love David Peterson or Paul Blackburn. Like, I just don't think that this is a World Series bound team. Now, can they play for the division? Certainly, if everybody plays up. But I don't think that they are going to.
I'm excited to see what Griffin Canning can do in a stadium and a clubhouse that isn't LA, Anaheim.
It's true.
In the bullpen. And not in the bullpen. Maybe in the bullpen. Who knows? But
I think we've crossed the threshold where the Mets and the next 2 teams, this is a 3-horse race. And it will be a 3-horse race, for the foreseeable future. Because these teams are just so consistently good, and they've bought in large measure to win. And you know that the front office out in Queens is going to buy. That's they have taxes named after the owner for luxury cap. Like, this is going to be a years and years long thing where the NL East is just this nebulous who's going to actually come out and who's going to be the wild card. Because frankly, these next 3 teams are almost too good to not be projected in the playoffs. And they're all 3 projected to be in the playoff in some form or fashion. But really, this is exciting.
my worry about this team is that when they need to fill a hole, their prospects are terrible. They don't have a
Yeah,
single
this is
top
a team with a
prospect.
very, very thin prospect system.
Like think about like if they need to go and get a pitcher at the deadline and they try to go trade for, I don't know, Dylan Cease, who's supposedly being shopped. Like, you're going to give up 15 guys to get him because right now your org's farm system looks terrible, and that is a direct result of how Cohen runs the team. He doesn't. Why would we home grow somebody when we can just go buy whoever we want? So I don't know. I'm interested to see. I'm really high on them. I think they're going to have a really good year, but I'm interested to see if they don't have a good start to the year, what it looks like.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way because that was kind of their issue last year. Is they started off in a rut, and it was very hard to pour it on last minute. Out of all people, Jose Iglesias is a spark plug for this lineup. This was a team that was kind of held together by glue and the power of friendship, and I just don't know how sustainable that is in Major League Baseball. Any final thoughts, or shall we move forward?
We move.
We move forward to the second place finishers in last year's National League East. The team that John Sansoni is wearing on his hat right now, the Atlanta Barbs.
John, cover your ears. The off-season losses for the Braves. Adam Duvall, AJ Minter, John Brebbia, Whit Merrifield, Charlie Morton, Max Fried, Jesse Chavez, Gio Urshela, Kevin Biggio, Travis d'Arnaud, Luke Jackson, Ramon Laureano, Griffin Canning, Eddie Rosario, Joey Wendell, Tyler Matzik. Getting back, though, in acquisitions, Nick Allen, Brian De La Cruz, and Jurickson Profar.
This has
okay.
been... Yeah, I'll cede the floor to you.
I'm not actually there. If you look at the offseason losses here, I'm really only upset about maybe 3 of them.
This is a
AJ
point that I
Minter.
was definitely going to make. Yeah.
AJ Minter, Max Fried, and Travis d'Arnaud. Maybe Ramon Laureano, just because I thought it was really funny how good he played for Ramon Laureano not doing PEDs. But really, I mean, you lose Max Fried. He's been your opening day starter for years. You're going to have Spencer Strider at some point, but right now your opening day starter is Chris Sale, probably, because he's
Cy
been,
Young winner.
Reigning Cy Young, and then it's Spencer
Raylo.
Schwellenbach, Reynaldo Lopez. Probably not in order, but Spencer Schwellenbach, Reynaldo Lopez, Grant Holmes, my goat, and probably Ian Anderson.
That's who Fangraph has.
Yeah, Fangraphs has Ian Anderson as your starting pitcher 5.
And that's telling because you look at the rest of your starting pitcher depth. Bryce Elder, mid to bad even. Dylan Dodd. It's Hurston Waldrop has been up and down. I like Hurston Waldrop. I just think he's just a little undercooked. He might be good this year, but I think they threw him out of the frying pan into the fire a little too early. I like Jurickson Profar.
You go out and you add like a guy like Chad Kuhl on a minor league deal, and he might not be the only guy that you add on a deal, but that's somebody with major league experience that can fill in a pinch until you have your top flight prospects ready to go. But I think this year is really going to be a prove-it year for AJ and for Waldrop. Like, at a certain point, they are going to have to be the people that push this team forward, because we know at this point it's 5 years into the Ian Anderson experience, and he's not doing that anymore. He's just not.
Right. AJ Smith-Shawver, I think this is the year where he proves whether or not he will be in the bullpen. If he's not good as a starter, his stuff will play really well as a back-end reliever. And I think that's where he'll end up if he doesn't secure a starting role at that 5. If like Ian Anderson beats him out for it, they might start working him in as closer. They might not. They might have him take the floor for a bit while Spencer Strider's not there, and just have it kind of be an audition. Like, which one of these 2 guys do we send down? Grant Holmes could always move back to the bullpen too, but frankly, I think he might stick. As for position players, Austin Riley comes back from injury. Sean Murphy finally gets to have the lion's share of the catching duties, although Drake Baldwin, it was recently put, I think, number 11 on Baseball Reference's top 100 prospects, or somewhere around there. He's good.
He's 11th, yeah.
There's a chance that he'll either be the number 2 catcher immediately or be in Gwinnett getting number 1 catcher reps and knocking heavily on the door. This is a year where everyone's coming back from injury. Strider and Acuna top that list. I think this is a team that, does Marcelo Zuna from the Braves keep that production going? Does he, does Jurickson Profar, can he prove that he's not just a Padres merchant? Can he actually get out there and do something that isn't in the brown and gold? I think he could. I think the Braves, the projection written down here is 90 wins in the division race, which was the same for the Mets. And spoiler, it's the same for the Phillies. I think that's true. I don't think there's a clear one in this division, but I think the Braves are in that trifecta.
For me, and you took the words right out of my mouth, but for me, you look at the number of pieces that this team lost in the offseason, and it was 17 major league players that walked in the offseason, which is a lot. To be clear, it's a lot. But a lot of those guys were patchwork players that only had to come up because every single Atlanta Braves superstar was eaten alive last year. They all got bitten by the injury spider. And now that they've had a full season and a full offseason to kind of get healthier, those pieces aren't necessary, right? You lose 17 guys, but 3, maybe 4 of them matter. You don't have to go out and add a lot of guys in free agency. You don't have to trade for players because you already have a World Series core right there on your roster. They just need to be healthy. If this Braves team can stay on the field, I think they could go very, very far.
I completely agree. One of their opening day corner outfielders is going to be Jared Kelenic. So
that's not great.
Nope. Do we want to move on?
Yeah, we can move forward to the team that won the division last year and then turned into a pumpkin in the offseason. The Philadelphia Phillies of Philadelphia. Go Birds.
Major losses: Spencer Turnbull, Jeff Hoffman, Carlos Estevez, Austin Hayes. Major acquisitions: Jordan Romano, Max Kepler, Jesus Luzardo, and Joe Ross.
They didn't do anything. Sorry, I moved all the way back. I don't feel like they did anything that crazy. Jordan Romano was not that great for the Blue Jays last year. Max Kepler, longtime starter, kind of just a solid player. He anchors left field, which was, Austin Hayes until he got a kidney infection. Jesus Luzardo has been always a bridesmaid, never the bride for the trade deadline. Who knows what he's still got in the tank? Joe Ross, noted brewer. This is a team that is already super deep. I'm not surprised that they didn't acquire that much, but that depth is aging. The depth is getting old. Castellanos is getting old. Kyle Schwarber is getting old. Bryce Harper is drinking raw milk and getting ringworm or something. Like, he's not.
What?
I'm not kidding.
Yeah,
he actually is out. He's out with food poisoning right now.
That's
not
correct.
Kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Trey Turner isn't getting. He's getting older, but he's still pretty good, right? Like, yeah. JT Realmuto, he's over the hump. This is a team that is starting to get taxed on position players. I think you're getting some really, really good pitchers. Andrew Painter will be coming back towards the summer for some bulk starts, and he's a live arm. I'm really excited to see Andrew Painter come back. Obviously Aaron Nola is fantastic. This is just a rotation that is going to be good. If it's not Taijuan Walker. I worry a little bit about the age. I worry about Zach Wheeler. I think this is a team that this is the year that will establish their future needs. If they don't if they are underperforming, that will be clear holes for Dave Dombrowski to fix. If they overperform, they might find themselves crashing back to earth in 2026. This is a team standing on a razor's edge right now. They could be really good, but it's kind of a glass cannon.
Yeah, I'm completely in agreement with you there. I mean, you look at this starting lineup, and 6 of your 9 guys are over the age of 30 in your starting 9, and the other 3 are 28, 27, and 27. Right? Like, this is not a young team by any stretch of the imagination. You have a 26-year-old, a 29-year-old, and a 30-year-old on your bench. This is a team that has regression candidates up and down the lineup. They're everywhere, even in the rotation. You mentioned some of those guys like Zach Wheeler. I think at a certain point, you get really, really worried about how close are they to the edge of the razor. Now, do they have a lot of talent? Absolutely. I think you could argue they have the most talent in this entire division, which is hard to say because you have 3 bona fide super teams. They might have the most talent out of any of them. It's a matter of, can those guys still play in any sort of semblance of their prime? For JT Realmuto, I think that answer is no. You can't have many more guys start failing out. You can't have Nick Castellanos and Bryce Harper both regress as well, because pretty soon there's not a lot of meat left on that. We talked a little bit earlier about the Washington Nationals being a team that's super young and super intriguing because they're young. And yes, maybe they're a year or 2 away, but they need kind of an opening to push their way into a very tough division. This Phillies team is where I see that opening. Once they have players that start falling behind the 8 ball, that's when the Nationals can really swerve past them and make themselves players for this divisional title. I don't think it's going to happen this year, but it's closer than I think a lot of Phillies fans are ready to admit.
I would just repeat what you both said.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, that brings us to an exciting part of the show.
It does bring us to an exciting part of the show.
Adam, it's time to kill John.
Yay!
What, like, okay. Can I pick the method, or do I just get do we spin the wheel? All right,
you can pick the method, but regardless of what the method is, we're gonna put you on a spit roast afterwards.
Man, I was gonna do the whole Shirley Jackson
method.
I was gonna do Shirley Jackson the lottery, I draw the short straw and I get stoned.
Oh yeah, that'd be a bad way to go.
And by stoned, I don't mean getting high.
I was thinking we'd put you on a concrete floor, and then we'd put a bunch of a plywood sheet over you, and then we just start putting rocks on top.
Like Giles Corey, you gonna crush me?
Yeah, slowly crushed to death.
I was thinking we would put him on a treadmill and make him walk forever.
Ooh, that would be interesting as well.
Yeah.
Forever and ever and ever.
So anyway, now is the part of the show where we talk about who we think is going to win this division. But before we get to who we think is going to win the division, we have to start with who we think is going to lose the division. Mr. Sansoni, as our resident NL East expert, you get to go first. Tell me what team you think is going last.
Yes, John. Yes, Longever.
And before we get to that, we have a sponsor for today's episode. Follow us on X, the Chatting AVG. We're literally cool on there, literally. All right, John, go. Who do you think's finishing fifth?
It's the Miami Marlins. It has to be the Miami Marlins. They're just the most incomplete team right now. It feels like they're starting a AAA team, and their AAA team is a AA team, and it just kind of trickles down from there. I don't like it. I feel like they just need to do something. Peter Bendix is lost. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, that's a team that I think loses 100 games. They'll be in play for the lottery for the first pick in next year's draft. The Marlins are going to be the worst team in this division quite handily.
Agreed.
Mr. Sansoni, who do you have finishing second to last?
For the fourth team, I think it's still the Nationals. And to be fourth in the NL East isn't actually as bad as it sounds. I think they're going to be just above 500. I think it's just a matter of the 3 teams above you are just really good. I think they're improving. This is not a condemnation of the Nationals. I think they have a really good thing going, and I think they're closer than some people might think.
Fangraphs has the Nationals projected as having 70 wins. I'm maybe a little more optimistic than that. I don't think they get to 500, but I think they're 75-ish neighborhood. I still think they finish fourth in this division, and that's just because they have to run into the Mets and the Nationals, or excuse me, not the Nationals, the Mets and the Phillies and the Braves 19 times each. Like that's a tough schedule for anyone.
12 times. Play everybody now, Adam. I also think it's the Nationals. However, I am right around 70 games for them. I think they're under 500 by about 10 games. Because of the same reason, they have to play 36 games against the top 3 teams of this division.
That's a lot
John,
of games.
who's your number 3?
It's the Phillies. I think it's for the reasons I expressed earlier. I think they're really right on that precipice of falling apart. I think that some of their older players are going to underperform. I don't think this is going to be a good year for Castellanos and Real Muto. I don't think so. I don't know if Bryce Harper gets a tapeworm, I won't be surprised. He kind of already did. He's already missing the first part of spring training reporting with food poisoning, and you don't know exactly why, because he looks like a ghoul from Fallout right now because he's only been drinking raw milk and eating banana bread with a full sliced banana on top. It looks bad. He looks bad right now, and
What
frankly,
did I miss?
just look on Twitter.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, X, the everything app.
Where you can find
I
us
think-
at the Chatting AVG.
Yes, you can. I think they're third. I still think they make the playoffs by the skin of their teeth. I think they get bounced in the first round by whoever faces them. But I still think they're third.
I got banana bread at work today, dude. Hell yeah.
You don't have a job.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Bryce Harper might be sick with food poisoning, and he might bring the Phillies down, but he will not bring the Phillies down to the level of the New York Metropolitans, my team that I have finishing third.
Wow.
I just don't see them as
Wow.
quite as complete as the other 2 top teams in this division. I still think that they're going to be alive for the playoff race. I just don't think that they're particularly complete. They overperformed last year. They didn't address a ton of their needs in the offseason. I just think there's cracks in the foundation here.
I have the Phillies. I think it will be more than Real Muto and Castellanos having a down year. I think Kyle Schwarber should be looked at as somebody who shouldn't be in the top half of your order at 33 years old. Just because he hits that one bomb every month to lead off a game doesn't make him that cool. I just agree. I think a team that looks like it's going to regress in a division like this is just not going to finish in the top 2.
Before we move on, for you video viewers, here's a picture of Bryce Harper holding up
and
a
me in
carton
the background.
of raw milk, and John's being reflected on. I'm gonna move it away from him. But Bryce Harper has like not even eye bags, like eye suitcases. Like
Mm.
it's bad.
Big bags, like a bag
Like
you
those
get from
like those blue IKEA like long bags.
Yeah,
that you
like-
can,
oh,
get
yeah.
places.
Yeah, like a bag you would get like if like Costco sold bags.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the number 2 in the NL East. It's about the Mets, baby. Love the Mets. Come on, hit the home run. Go Mets. Which I fear does not help my agenda of who the number 1 team is by process of elimination. I feel like that I'm gonna get pointed and laughed at. But really, like I think the Mets are wholesale a very good team. I think they're a very good team. I worry about their pitching. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know how confident you can be that it's just Sean Manaea and David Peterson and Christian Scott, who I think got injured. Like, it's just, I don't know how I really feel about it. Edwin Diaz was up and down and up and down. You know, I like this team. I think if they're really good, they're really good. But I can't feel particularly great about a team that feels like at any given time someone else is cold.
This year's Philadelphia Phillies will finish second in the National League East. And the reason that I say that they will finish second is because they are teetering on the edge of the iceberg, right? This is a team that is very, very close to their championship window coming to a close. I think a lot closer maybe than their front office is willing to admit, but I don't think that door slams closed quite yet. I think they've got one more good year with all of their top players before they're going to have to go into a rebuild, and I think that they can squeeze a second place on the wild card for the division this year.
One more good year. Me when I'm a blimp. Sorry, John, continue.
I just want the record to be shown that the only person laughing at that is John.
I thought it was funny.
Come on.
John, I'm sorry.
What? No.
The team that will finish second place in the NL East this year is the team from the A-Town.
A-Town down.
A-Town down to second place, the Atlanta Braves. Call me crazy.
You're crazy.
Thank you. They're going to finish second because the team that will finish first will have an oh my god season. A month. They've been rejuvenated.
They haven't signed Jose Iglesias yet, so I don't know how you could possibly feel that way. Mr. Sansoni, by process of elimination, your division winner are the Braves. A little home cooking on the pick. Talk to me about it.
I feel like the injury bug got them last year. I know it to be true. They have an offseason loss list longer than a Stone Cold Steve Austin promo, right? This is a team that is really was hurting, and I don't think they will anymore. I love having Chris Sale still at that front of that rotation because he's proven that when healthy, he is still one of the most electric pitchers in baseball, right? He's old. He could regress at any time, but this isn't Madden. This isn't the show. It's not. I feel like it won't be that steep of a drop off if he really does. I think Ronald Acuna. They might be a little more careful with how much he runs on the bases, but I think swinging the bat, I think the Braves lineup is really gonna get far with that. Will Austin Riley come back into form? Will Matt Olson come back into form? Where does Drake Baldwin fit into this? Does Jurickson Profar come in? I feel like this is a buy high pick for me. I feel like it won't be a particularly large lead in the division between the Braves and the Mets, but I think they'll take it in the end.
I also have the Braves winning the division this year, and for me, kind of what it came down to between the Mets and the Phillies this year, or excuse me, between the Braves and the Phillies this year. You look at this Braves team last year, and everything that went wrong for them, I just don't think is replicable. I don't think they could possibly have that many guys get injured, that many guys play poorly, that many things go wrong. And they just have so much young talent top to bottom that I find myself having a very, very difficult time betting it.
And my number one team, it's all about the Mets, baby. It's all about the Mets, the Mets, the Mets, the Mets. Are they going to win the World Series? No. Are they going to get to the World Series? No. But they're going to have they're going to have a regular season where Juan Soto is Juan Soto. Frankie Lindor is Frankie Lindor. Pete Alonso realizes that nobody cares about him other than the Mets. And he goes, you guys should care about me. I don't.
And then he
just win
wins the home run
derby
once again.
He's going to stick it to the man and win the home run derby by 2 home runs.
That'll show them.
That'll show him.
So there we go. Our second division preview wrapped up for the second consecutive week. We have 2 people in agreement on one team and 1 odd man out. Last week, H was the odd man out. This week, Mr. Lieber is the odd man out.
Just making sure I don't fit in, guys.
That's what he's saying. And as your reward, Mr. Lieber, for being the odd man out this week, you get to bring us into our next segment.
It's all about the grid, baby. It's the grid. Grid. It's grid time. Grid. 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 I'm in your walls. The grid is a 3x3 grid with 9 intersections. It looks like this today.
It does look like that today.
Can
To
you
explain
tell
that,
them what that is?
row 1 is the Angels, row 2 is the Braves, row 3 is the Los Angeles Dodgers of Dodgerland. Column 1 is the Houston Astros of Dakin Park. Column 2 is the San Diego Padres, and column 3 is 200-plus career wins. Pitching. Now, I'd like to start us off with an Angel with 200-plus career wins and Bert Blyleven.
Ooh,
I'm with it.
I'm with it. I'm with it.
It's 8%. Man, not
I'm
terrible.
not with it anymore. I'm not with it anymore, John.
Hey, that's fine. 8% is fine. We're staying in the single digits. That's all right.
It's true,
I
it's true.
have an Angel who was also an Astro, and he was also a Colorado Rocky. In fact, this is a man that I once played catch with. His name is Dexter Fowler.
You play catch with Dexter Fowler?
I did play catch with Dexter Fowler, and he was even taller in person.
1%.
All right, I've got 2 of the Braves right now. For Braves Astros, I have the reason why Will Smith still won another World Series, Jake Odorizzi.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good poll.
0.7.
And for Braves Padres, I have Rockies legend, Pierce Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
The curveball man himself.
0.5.
They call him Prince Albert, and I won't explain why.
Okay, fine. I didn't want to know anyways.
The Houston Astros had a player who is currently a Los Angeles Dodger, and the name is Enrique Hernandez.
Well, Kike Hernandez. Wow.
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 I got that they put him in his Kike on.
They did put him in his Kike.
Yeah, literally. Okay, we have Angels, Padres, Braves 200-plus career wins, Dodgers, Padres, and Dodgers 200-plus career wins.
Braves.
Mr. Lieber, you haven't given us anybody better than Bert Blyleven yet. Do you want to give yourself a second chance?
No.
Okay, I have an Angel Padre if we want to fill that one out.
Sure, go.
The Little Ninja, Alexi Amarista.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, 0.4.
So, I have...
Yeah, go ahead.
A Braves 200 win pitcher.
Sure.
Brother of Nuxie, Phil Negro, Joe Negro.
Ooh.
%.
For a 200 win pitcher, that's probably one of the better ones we're gonna get.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty solid, I guess.
What else do we have?
We need the 2 Dodgers, Padres, Dodgers 200-plus win.
Can either of you give me a Dodgers Padre that's better than Matt Kemp?
A Dodgers Padre that's better than Matt Kemp. Nick Ahmed?
Oh, that might be better.
He went through I think he went through almost every NL West team this year. I think he only didn't go to the Padres or the Rockies this year.
Yes, he has not been a Rocky.
Would you like that one?
Either him or Jake Marisnick.
Well, I don't like using enemy of the program, Jake Marisnick. So Nick Ahmed, 23%.
Okay. Wow.
Hey,
What did Jake Marisnick do?
Enemy of the program.
enemy of the program. We need 200 plus wins in their career. Also, a Los Angeles Dodger of Los Angeles.
I don't know.
What about this guy you might not have heard of? John Smoltz. No, I'm kidding. He didn't play there.
Scherzer? Is that too obvious?
Here's your word.
That might be too obvious.
That might be. Hershiser's going to be too obvious. Kershaw's going to be too obvious.
He's going to be way too obvious. Greinke? I feel like Greinke's probably more. Greinke might be the answer.
I feel like Greinke's probably high.
Okay, Greinke more than Scherzer?
What about like Don Sutton?
Yeah, I like Don Sutton.
Sure, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, do we think? My thing is I feel like there's been so many good historically good pitchers that are early enough that were like recently.
What about Tommy John?
Did he have 200?
I think so.
Last couple shows, John's thought so and gotten it wrong.
He has 288.
All right, we'll go with Tommy John.
Thomas Johnson. Show me the money.
Tommy John, 72%.
Wait, really?
No.
You got me. You got me.
The hardest spot on the board today. Padres Angels. Do you guys want any of the number one answers, or do you not care?
I would love the number one answers.
Go ahead and tell us.
Left to right, top to bottom. Nolan Ryan, David Winfield, Nolan Ryan, Charlie Morton, Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, Zach Greinke, Manny Machado, Clayton Kershaw. There are 25 Dodgers and 25 Braves players who have hit 200-plus wins. Only 11 have pitched for the Angels. Which spot on this board do you think has had the most crossover between the teams?
Dodgers, Padres?
Correct. 126 players.
That also would have been my guess.
All right. Well, we've got some time to rant. Does anybody have anything? I do, if nobody else does.
Please, by all means.
Go ahead.
So I'm walking home today, right? And for those
I'm walking in.
And those not in Columbia, Missouri, it's snowing. It's like one of those days where like Mizzou would normally cancel if they wanted to, if they were normal, but they didn't. Whatever. I went to class. I went to work. Who cares? The thing is I'm walking home, and I'm like walking, headphones in, hat on, scarf around my like this and in my ears, just like staying warm, very warm. The whole walk home was not cold other than my legs. But like it's snowy out, so like it's already like auto muted world, right? And then I suddenly hear like footsteps coming from behind me, and I'm like, okay, kind of quick footsteps. Why are you running in the snow? Go to the rec. Thoughts?
There is an indoor track at the rec, and I think that's kind of what that's for. And I'll tell you that person will stop running outside the minute that they slip on the ice for the first time.
Yeah.
Because that stuff does not feel good, and especially when you're in running gear. Like with jeans, you can kind of cushion your blow.
Right.
Not in Fabletics running pants. Like I'm just saying. There's nothing.
I'm saying, and like my thing was like it's cold here too, and it's not like cold like it's 30 degrees. Like it's cold like it's like single digits here. And she was in like, and I know like the whole rule like you dress 20 degrees warmer than it is when you're going for a run outside. You were in a single pair of pants and a light jacket. I know you were cold. I don't even think you had gloves on. Were you running from something? Should I have ran too? Like, genuinely turned around to be like, nothing's chasing her.
So, did you like talk to her, or did she just run away?
I took
Yeah,
a video
did you
as
talk
she
to
was
her?
running off. No, I did this. Hang on.
You took a no way. You just took an unsolicited video of someone. Yeah, so
Like,
that is for you
this
audio
is what I
listeners.
look
That
like
is it's
at this
John
point.
with literally just his eyes visible, with a
The
yellow
chatting
scarf.
average will tweet this photo out. It says Live Moss.
You should live Moss. That's a way to live.
Live less. What?
Live Moss.
More?
You guys got anything?
Mr. Sansoni?
University of Missouri. Cancel school tomorrow. Or not
New
cancel.
choice.
I suppose move it to a virtual day.
Online operations, please. I don't want to go to work.
I can't believe snow days are dead. I can't believe it. I wish
Yeah,
they
that
were
sucks.
not dead.
Me personally, if it snows enough, I'm going to have a snowball fight.
How much snow is required for you to have a snowball fight?
I need to not be able to see the grass. And then we're pretty solid from there.
Fair enough.
I wish I was a little bit taller.
I wish I was
I wish I was a baller.
All right, I don't have anything to rant about. I just wanted to see how that would go.
Adam?
This is my last episode of the Chatting Average.
He'll never be back.
No. In this current setup, I will be moving in the next week, and hopefully by the time that you hear me next, I will have my professional microphone set up and not sound like I'm on the inside of a fishbowl, which will be good for that'll be very good for us. I think it'll be a good thing.
I think so too.
Is that all we've got?
Do you want to say where you're You want to say where you're moving, or is that privileged information?
Yeah, I'm on my way to Kokomo,
Indiana.
That's the one. Home of the Jackrabbit. All right, we're gonna get TMTA.
Dude, all right, hey John.
All right, I'm sorry. I'll give the outro.
You got 12 words too many. 12 words too many.
I'll do the outro. Thank you for listening to the Chatting Average. You can find us on X, John.
The Everything app.
The Everything app at the Chatting AVG.
You can find us on YouTube at the Chatting Average. You can find us on Spotify, probably the Chatting Average. You can probably find us on Apple Podcasts, the Chatting Average. Amazon Podcast, the Chatting Average.
Yup.
Are you listening on Audible? I don't even know if you can do that. Audible sponsor us.
Call an Audible and listen to the Chatting Average instead of doing
if you
an
own a
audiobook.
business, sponsor us.
It's true.
Next week will be a division that we haven't picked yet because that's how these things go. Probably one of the Centrals, since we started with the East. We'll move westward, like the United States did in the early 1800s. And other than that, I just want to wish everybody a safe and happy second to last week of February. Thank you for listening once again. If you're traveling by plane soon, make sure it doesn't flip.
If you've got a birthday coming up in the next week, happy birthday.
And if you don't, let's work on that.
Room for improvement.
If it's like your bar mitzvah, invite us.
Mazel.
Dude, I crush at bar mitzvahs.
If it's your quinceañera, let me wear a dress.
Do you feel bonita?
I feel bonita.
Good, because you look bonita. Anyway, that's enough from us. We'll see y'all next episode. We'll talk about a new division. For John, for Adam, I'm John. Bye.
What was Pete Buttigieg doing?